Hi and welcome, it's me Mike. In this lesson today we're going to learn how to think like the examiner. Okay, now many students approach the IELTS exam cold to what the examiner actually wants. Now this is a bad idea. What you need to do is get inside a document called the band descriptors. Okay, and I've written pretty much all of it out here. Some of it's paraphrased, but this will give you a very good indicator of what the examiner wants for a band 9. Okay, now as you know, IELTS is graded from 0 on one end of the scale and 9 on the other end of the scale. And you want to be, pushing up for the 9 here. On this course, as I said, we're aiming for 7.5 and above. But what I've done is I've picked out the band 9 descriptors because you should aim for the top, aim for the highest possible grade you can within each particular area of the Task 2 writing, and we'll see where we go. Okay, so as you can see, it's divided into 4 separate areas. Coherence and cohesion, 25%. Task achievement, 25%. Grammatical range and accuracy, 25%. And lexical resource behind me here, 25%. So it's evenly weighted. Your writing task 2 is evenly weighted over these 4 different skill areas. So let's look at them in turn and see what they're all about. Remember, before we do, these descriptions here are for a band 9, so it's the highest you can possibly get. And that's what you want to aim for. That's what I tell all my students. Aim for the highest and, try and get somewhere close to that. So first we'll look at coherence and cohesion. Okay, so take the word cohesion first. Think of cohesion like a jigsaw. This means that every single one of your paragraphs in your essay must link together like a jigsaw. So the introduction will link to the body, each body paragraph will link together, and then the conclusion will also link to what has come before that. Okay, so think of your whole essay, each part linking together like a jigsaw piece. Now that's all of the essay, but also within each paragraph must link together as well. So that the first sentence, for example, let's say the first sentence of a body paragraph is your topic sentence. It must set up the rest of the paragraph for what you're going to prove or what you're going to argue. You must then have examples that prove that, and you must also use linking language within the paragraph, and the essay as a whole to keep everything nice and orderly and easy to understand. Okay, so that's cohesion. Coherence means it's about the quality of your argument or what you're talking about. So do you state in the introduction you're going to talk about this one thing or prove this one thing, and then throughout your essay, do you do that and that only? Or do you go off into different places or off into outer space, as I often tell my students? Okay, so you need to stay on track. You need to stay focused to the point of your essay. And if you stay focused to the point of your essay or what you're trying to prove, you get decent coherence points. So this is what the examiner wants for a band 9. Uses cohesion that attracts no attention. Okay, so when you're using your linking language, either between paragraphs or within the paragraphs themselves, it must seem quite natural. You mustn't, if you're reading it, you don't think, oh, he's trying to do that there. The examiner wants natural language. He wants it to feel, to get a band 9, he wants it to feel just like a native speaker, a high-level native speaker has written this, and it feels effortless, it flows. Also, you need to skillfully manage your paragraphing. Okay, so you need a quality introduction, you need quality body paragraphs, and a quality conclusion. And we'll look at those later, how to do these later in the course. That's 25%. Next 25% is called task achievement. And this basically means, do you answer the question? That's the easiest way to think about it. To get a band 9, it says fully addresses all parts of the task here. Now this is very important, as often Task 2 essays have more than one piece of information within them. And they do this on purpose because they know sometimes students focus only on one part of the question and then forget about the other part of the question. And this, if you do that, well, you will not score well in task achievement. Or there's another type of essay in task 2 called the 2-part question, which we'll look at in a later lesson. again, you have to make sure you address both parts of that question equally and effectively to get your 25%. Next, you have to present a fully developed position, relevant, extended, and well supported by ideas. Okay, presents a fully developed position, relevant, and extended and well supported ideas. Okay, so you need to, if it's an opinion essay, you need to make sure you have an opinion. If it's asking you to discuss two different people's opinions, you have to make sure you do discuss those. If it asks you additionally for your opinion about both of those, you have to make sure that you give your opinion as well. If it asks you for the advantages and disadvantages, you have to make sure you talk about both of those. So everything has to be addressed with regard to the question, and all of your points have to be developed. You have to give reasons, you have to give examples, you have to show the examiner you know what you're talking about, okay? And that's how you get your task response, 25%. So moving on, grammatical range and accuracy, 25% again. To get a band 9, you have to use a wide range of structures with full flexibility and accuracy. Now, later in the course, we'll be talking about how to spice up your writing. I like using this word spice when I talk about writing. Give it a bit more spice, make it more interesting, okay? I'm from Thailand here, southern Thailand in fact, and we eat very spicy food, and it's more interesting. I think the same is true with writing as well. Make your writing spicier. So later in the course, we'll talk about how to get this 25%, how to write effective simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, how to use relative clauses effectively, how to use conditionals. All of these things together, working them in together will push you up beyond that band 7.5, and who knows, maybe even up towards the 9, as we can see on the board here. Now the final 25% is for lexical resource. Now, lexical resource is just a high society way, a very overly complicated way, I always think, to say vocabulary, okay? Break it down to layman's terms, it's just vocab, okay? Now, what do you have to do to get a band 9, guys? Well, you have to use a wide range of vocabulary with natural control of lexical features, a wide range of vocabulary. Now, later in the course, again, we'll be looking at how to grab these points, okay? The examiners like things like collocations. They like things like lexical chunks. And if you don't know what those things are, well, you'll see it in a later video, okay? But the key to getting the vocab points is using the language effectively, using it well within a context, and not trying to overcomplicate things. Often you see students trying to throw in really, really long words that they've learned, perhaps in word lists, and they don't know how to use it in the context. They don't know the correct part of speech in the context, and everything just goes haywire, it goes crazy, it doesn't work. So in later lessons, we'll show you how to make this work, okay? So don't worry about that. Also, with your vocab and also with your grammar, that I forgot to mention, you're allowed to make minor errors, which they call slips. So you're allowed to slip like on a banana skin 1 or 2 times without losing many points, okay? Again, remember this is band 9. So even to get the highest band, you're allowed a few errors, slips, minor errors with your grammar accuracy and your vocab. So I think that's quite heartening. It's quite warming for students to know that you know, to get a band 9, it doesn't need to be completely perfect. You are allowed a few errors here and there. Okay, folks, so that's about it. This is, you know, if you kind of think deeply about all of these things, you'll see all of this again in the course notes if you check. You need to start thinking like the examiner, and I advise you guys to think like a band 9. Okay? Don't set your sights too low. Try and perfect all of these skills and push yourself as hard as you can go. Okay, so that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for listening.